and welcome back to The Blunt Coach. Today, I'd like to give you one little, very simple tool that comes from the field of, systemic coaching, but more specifically, family constellations. And I know a lot of people are very, not taking that very seriously as I used to. And I'm very careful with those tools, even though I think sometimes there's something to it. And even if it's just a 5% chance that they help you if you don't overinterpret, but use them for what they are, they can be helpful in times of distress. We'd like to look at the personality aspects of you. We're all made of various personality aspects that make us go be outwards directed or more introverted in certain situations, that make us be like very, like eloquent and bubbly and whatever. And at the same time, very distinct and very targeted and be on, So you understand what I mean? There is a lot of aspects around us that make us who we are. It's kind of a personality streak soup. And this is what makes me. And depend a little bit on the surroundings we're in and the kind of people we're dealing with, depend on our meta programs, something else I'm going to describe in another episode, but roughly the programs that are getting started when under stress and that bring you very quickly into getting relaxed again. Depend on those programs, we have a certain kind of personality streak shine, come up forward, and others stand back. Now, because there's so much about us, and yet it seems like we're always the same old person, right? How do you get to integrate the parts that you like the least? I tell you, most people don't like that they have a jealous streak upon them. Why does she earn more money than I do, even though she's lesser trained than me? Or why does he already have the kind of car when I am working much more? So why does he have the audacity to take his money and put it into the car when I need to put it in the bank because one day I might be old, right? This is part of like a jealous behavior. That is part of a personality streak. Now, that is oftentimes a streak people really don't like about themselves. So what do you do about it? You can make a bonfire and invite all the parts of the self that you don't like. How do you do that? Well, one opportunity. Literally, you sit down, you make yourself like a nice little, like cushion, whatever, where you sit, maybe a candle in the middle, and you close your eyes. And you use one of the many meditation techniques that bring you into a state of focus, a state of calm, a state of, being able to switch between the different sensations that reach your ear, eye, nose, palate, and so on. When you're in that state, you imagine that around that candle in the middle, you have like a lot of cushions, and you invite, either consciously or just with an open mind, all the personality streaks around that fire that you would want to talk to. And let's say greed is one of them. And greed is taking a seat right next to you. What you can do then is that you turn towards greed, either internally, or if you're all by yourself or you have a partner who's willing to play along with you, verbally. You turn towards greed and you, first of all, since I'm a she, look at her. Maybe she's in the shape of a man. Maybe the biology is an alien. I don't know. Maybe it's a panther. Who knows? Whatever is showing up as your greed, first of all, look at it. Assess it. What is it? What does it behave like? What's the posture? What's the energetic outcome? And then either you invite it to talk or you ask your questions. Familiarize yourself with that part of your personality. Invite it in. Make it be seen. Each and every one of us wants to be seen. We want to be acknowledged for who we are. But if some parts of ourselves are so unliked, we will hide them, which means people can only see parts of who we are. So they understand that we're faking it here a little bit, that we're not really authentic, that we're hiding something. And that makes us a little more unbelievable. And then people are a little more hesitant with us. So we don't like that. We want to be connected to other people, right? And then we're like, why doesn't she like me? Well, because she knows you're hiding something. And you do. But the moment you start to integrate, they say, but first of all, address, talk to that personality streak of yours you don't like, you allow it to be seen, and you allow it to take part in this conglomerate of what makes you, right? You can do that with each and everyone sitting around the fire. And it doesn't need to find a final ending. There is no procedure where you say like, oh, now all lovey-dovey, we come together and we hug and whatever. It doesn't need to go that far. All that needs to be done is that as unbiased as you can, you take a listen. You ask your question. You get curious about those parts of you. How do they look like? How do they present themselves? So you know who you're dealing with and you know who makes you. Now, one more thing here. You can also do, and that comes from the family constellation area, you can also work with cards. You could do that with other people, but for right now, we're about identifying the personality streaks of you and how to familiarize with yourself with them or to integrate them so you become more authentic. You can live out your full being and source from all you are. You can use those cards and you can write down, for example, old me, right? If you're afraid of who you're going to be when you're old, well, give her a face, give her a name. You could write inner child. You could write critic, whatever comes to mind. So you write them down and then you place those cards somewhere around you in the room on the floor, just by chance, right? Let them fall where you think they're right. You determine one spot where you stand. And then you go from your spot where you also leave a little note. This is where you were standing, you, the full you. And you go to the first card somewhere on the floor, let's say inner child. You go to that card, you step on it, turning towards where you used to stand, and you look at yourself from the perspective of your inner child. You could say like, and then what? You know what? Just do it. Test it. Your perception will change. Swear to God, it will change. You'll look at yourself differently. You will all of a sudden notice, again, your posture, the way you look at that inner child, the way your energetic body is it nervous or is it strong? Is it motherly or is it rejective? And then you can talk to her, talk to you as from the perspective of the inner child. And what oftentimes happens is that the inner child says like, I'm so far away from you. I don't know why you placed me somewhere in the back of the room. It's dark here. I can't really play. I don't feel free at it, whatever. I'm not inspiring you to hear that from your inner child. There's a whole lot of things that inner child can say. This is something that, for example, my child said to me once, right? But it can be a whole lot of other things. When you're ready, when you feel like you have listened, or when you feel like the conversation for now is fine, you can step off the card and, for example, move the card somewhere else into the room. And then you go back to your initial spot. And then you choose the next person, maybe your inner critic. And you go to that card. You step on it, you turn towards where you used to stand, and you listen. You watch, you assess, you understand what's the connection between her over there and me, inner critic here. Am I being heard? Because I have a reason, I have a role to be part of that personality, right? Am I being seen right? Am I being judged unfairly? Or am I being overly crowned, right? Am I sitting on a throne I don't want to be on? Listen, take a chance to step onto each and every card and move them around in the room as you feel fit, so that in the end, when you finished, you feel like, oh, yeah, something is a bit more profound, a bit more coming together, a bit more glued, right? This is what integration means. And this is part of the basic work of authenticity. This is a normal tool for us coaches, something that we use quite often. You can also go to a family constellation therapist. They go even in depth here. They can look at your projects. They can look at your company setup. But again, you can use the tool all by yourself to begin with. And if you want some help, I'm happy to help you. I'm happy to set up a good surrounding for you, which you can work with all by yourself, because as you know, I'm not the fondest person of creating crutches that you need for the rest of your life, but to make you be able to walk all by yourself so you can connect to whoever you want to, and not to people you have to connect to because they, you know, they make you walk. We can do that from times to connect to people that help us grow and that help us be self-determined again, self-reliant, all those kind of things. But in the end, it is us that, if everything breaks away, we are able to survive and to thrive. Thank you for listening. And I'm looking forward to the next episode. Wishing you a great day. That was Esther with the Blunt Coach.